Hey, if you're watching this right now, chances are you're carrying something heavy. Maybe not in your hands, but in your head. You show up every day, you smile, you work, you nod politely, and yet when the lights go out and no one's around, you face battles no one else can see. The kind of battles that aren't fought with fists, but with thoughts. I know that feeling well. You see, the hardest war you'll ever fight is the one inside your own mind. It's not the world outside that breaks us. It's the quiet, constant voice that whispers, "You're not enough. You're too late. You always mess up." Those thoughts, they're the real enemies, and they're relentless. You might be sitting in a quiet room right now, no threats, no noise, but still, your mind is racing. Regret, shame, anxiety, all swirling around like a storm. And no one else can see it, but you're in the middle of it. That's why I made this video. Not for someone who's looking for a quick motivational quote to scroll past, but for you, the silent fighter. The one who's tired of living in a mental prison built from fear, doubt, and the ghosts of yesterday. Today, I want to offer you something ancient, but timeless. 9 brutal but beautiful principles from Stoic philosophy. Not soft advice, not empty positivity, but clear tools, hard truths, and daily practices that have helped warriors, emperors, and ordinary people just like you to reclaim their minds. This isn't theory. This is practice, the kind that rewires how you see the world and yourself. Because your thoughts don't have to own you. You can stand above them. You can become still strong, grounded, even in the middle of chaos. So if you're ready not to run away from pain, but to face it with clarity, then let's begin. Let's kill those negative thoughts. One Stoic truth at a time. Part 1. You are not your thoughts. Let's begin with the first truth. And I need you to really hear this, not just with your ears, but with your heart. You are not your thoughts. That voice in your head, the one that tells you you're not good enough, that you've failed too many times, that people don't really care about you. It's not you. It's just noise, mental weather. And like the weather, it changes. It passes. But here's the problem. Most people never learn to tell the difference. They think, because I had a dark thought, I must be broken. Or, because I feel anxious, I must be weak. But Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor, who lived under constant pressure, he wrote in his private journal, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." See, the Stoics believed something that's radically freeing your mind is a river. And thoughts, they're just leaves floating by. You don't have to chase them. You don't have to believe them. You don't even have to fight them. You can simply watch. That's the shift. You go from being in the storm to becoming the sky above it. A thought comes in. I'm a failure. But instead of letting it define you, you say, I'm noticing a thought that says I failed. See what just happened there? You created space, and in that space, you gained power. Power to pause, power to respond, power to choose a better story. Epictetus once said, "It's not things that disturb us, but our opinion about things." That includes the opinions we have about ourselves. So here's a little practice I recommend. The next time a negative thought shows up, don't react. Don't panic. Just observe. Write it down if you can. And ask yourself, is this true, or is it just familiar? Because most of the thoughts that torment you aren't facts. They're just echoes. Echoes of old wounds, old stories, old fears. And you're not an echo. You're the observer, the editor, the one who decides what stays and what fades. So remember, you are not your thoughts. You are the one watching them drift by, just like clouds in a vast open sky. Part 2. Stop arguing with reality. Let me tell you something that took me years to fully understand. Pain is real, but suffering, that's often something we create. You lose someone, you get betrayed. Something falls apart. That pain, that shock. It's human. We all go through it. But what makes the pain linger, what turns it into suffering, is when your mind keeps saying, "This shouldn't have happened." That resistance is what hurts you most. We replay the same scene over and over. It wasn't supposed to go this way. They shouldn't have said that. I should have done more. And what happens? We stay stuck, not in the event, but in our refusal to accept it. But here's the brutal wisdom of Stoicism. What happened, happened. You can't edit the past. You can't negotiate with reality. You either accept it or you suffer it again and again. Epictetus said it best, "Do not seek to have events happen as you wish, but wish them to happen as they do, and you will go well." Now listen, this isn't about pretending everything's okay when it's not. This isn't toxic positivity. It's not saying, "Hey, just smile and move on." No, it's about choosing not to argue with a moment that's already done. Imagine this. You're standing in the pouring rain. You can curse the clouds, scream at the sky, get angry at the weather. You can accept you're wet. Grab a coat and keep walking. One of those choices leads to clarity. The other keeps you cold and miserable. Same rain, different mindset. So the next time your mind starts saying, "This shouldn't have happened," I want you to pause, take a breath, and simply say, "But it did. So now what?" Those 4 words flip the script. They put the pen back in your hands. You stop being the victim of the story and start becoming the author again. And that is freedom. Because peace doesn't come from controlling life. It comes from accepting life as it is and still choosing to move forward. You are not weak for feeling pain, but you are strong when you stop arguing with it and start responding to it. Let the world be what it is. Part 3. Don't trust the first emotion. You ever notice how the first feeling hits the hardest? Anger, jealousy, fear, shame. It shows up fast, loud, sharp, like a punch you didn't see coming. And if you're not careful, you'll treat that first emotion like it's the whole truth. But here's what the Stoics knew, and what life has taught me again and again. The first feeling is not final wisdom. It's just a flare, a signal. Sometimes helpful, often misleading. See, your brain is ancient. And in ancient times, reacting quickly kept you alive. You saw a lion, you ran. You felt fear, you hid. But today, most of our battles aren't physical. They're emotional, internal. And reacting too fast usually makes things worse. That's why Marcus Aurelius, yes, the Emperor of Rome, wrote to himself, "Keep an untroubled spirit. Look things in the face and know them for what they are." Now, if the man who ran an empire had to remind himself to pause, so do we. Let me give you an example. Your friend doesn't text back. Your first thought, "They're ignoring me. I must have done something wrong." But if you wait, an hour a day, you might find out they were busy sick, overwhelmed. And you'll be glad you didn't send that angry message or spiral into doubt. So here's a practice I live by. Name the emotion. Pause the reaction. Delay the story. Say it out loud if you can. I'm feeling angry, but that doesn't mean I'm right. I'm feeling afraid, but that doesn't mean there's danger. I'm feeling jealous, but that doesn't mean I'm not enough. When you do this, you're not suppressing the feeling. You're giving yourself room to respond wisely instead of reacting blindly. And here's a beautiful tool from the Stoics: the view from above. When life feels overwhelming, zoom out. Imagine looking at your life from space. See yourself as a small point on this vast planet, just one moment in a long journey. That petty argument, that awkward silence, that social media post that ruined your day, they start to look small, almost meaningless. And in that zoomed-out view, you find peace. Because not everything needs your energy. Not every emotion deserves a reaction. So don't trust the first wave. Let it crash. Let it pass. Then, choose your next move with clarity, not chaos. Because strength isn't in feeling nothing. It's in feeling deeply, yet choosing wisely. Part 4. The stories you tell yourself are creating your pain. Let me ask you something. Have you ever noticed that the situation itself isn't what breaks you? It's the story you attach to it. You get rejected, and your mind says, "I'll never be loved." You make a mistake at work, and your mind whispers, "See, you're a failure." It's not just what happened. It's what your mind makes it mean. And friend, that's where most of our suffering lives, not in reality, but in the fiction we write about it. The Stoics saw this clearly. That's why Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If you're pained by anything external, it's not the thing itself that disturbs you, but your judgment of it. And this, you have the power to revoke at any moment." Let that settle for a moment. You have the power to revoke the pain. Not by changing the past, but by changing the narrative. Because the truth is, your brain is a storyteller, a fast one, and not always a fair one. It jumps to conclusions. It fills in gaps with fear. It recycles old pain into new meaning. So what do? We pause. We write it out. And we separate the facts from the fiction. Let me show you how. Let's say someone didn't respond to your message. Fact. They haven't replied in 2 days. Story. They don't care about me. I must have said something wrong. Challenge. Is that true? Could they just be busy? Have I ever done the same to someone not out of disrespect, but because life got in the way? See what happens. You start to realize most of the pain wasn't from the silence. It was from the script your mind created about the silence. Here's the Stoic mindset. Bad things may happen. Disappointments may come. But you define the meaning. And that gives you back control, not over the event, but over yourself. Because you're not helpless. You're the author. And a wise author edits. So the next time your thoughts begin to spiral, pause. Say to yourself, wait, is this the truth? Or just a story I've been telling myself for too long? You'll be amazed how much peace returns when you stop rehearsing pain that never needed to be performed. Remember, you are not the pain. You are the one rewriting the page. Part 4, your environment feeds your inner dialogue. Let me share a hard truth that many people overlook. Your environment is shaping your mind, whether you realize it or not. See, most people don't wake up with a negative mindset. They absorb it, quietly, slowly, Every single day. The voices you listen to, the people you surround yourself with, the content you scroll through when you're tired and vulnerable. All of that. It becomes your internal dialogue, and before you know it, you're not thinking your own thoughts anymore. You're just repeating the noise you've let in. Seneca, one of the wisest Stoics, said, "Associate with those who will make you better, and welcome those whom you yourself can improve." That wasn't just advice about friendship. That was about mental hygiene. Let me put it simply. If your mind is a garden, who are you letting plant seeds in it? If all you hear is gossip, anger, blame, fear, and complaint, don't be surprised when your thoughts start sounding the same. And it's not just people. It's your space, a cluttered desk, a chaotic home, constant background noise. They may seem small, but they echo in your nervous system. The Stoics lived with simplicity for a reason. They understood external chaos breeds internal confusion. So if your mind feels loud lately, it might not be because you're broken. It might be because your environment is too noisy to hear yourself think. Here's what I tell my students and clients: do an environment audit. Ask yourself, who energizes me and who drains me? What kind of media am I consuming daily? Is my space helping me breathe or making me tense? Do my habits feed peace or feed pressure? Then slowly begin to clean. Not just your room, but your digital world, your calendar, your conversations. Unfollow the drama. Reduce the noise. Spend more time with people who speak with clarity, kindness, and truth. And most importantly, spend time in silence so you can actually hear your own voice again. Because here's the thing, you can't kill negative thoughts if you're feeding them every day. But when you change your environment even just a little, you create space for your mind to settle, to breathe, to reset. And that quiet becomes strength. Part 6. You're tired, not broken. Let me tell you something that most people never hear. You're not broken. You're just tired. Not lazy, not weak, not unmotivated. Just exhausted. Mentally, emotionally, even spiritually. And when you're tired, everything feels heavier than it really is. You misread texts. You overthink every small decision. You assume people are mad at you. You spiral over things that normally wouldn't even bother you. Why? Because your nervous system is running on empty. You can't think clearly, not because you're incapable, but because your mind is overloaded. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If you're distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. And this you have the power to revoke at any moment." But here's the part we forget. You can't make good estimates when you're exhausted. You can't access clarity when you haven't slept. You can't find peace if you haven't slowed down in weeks. You can't hear your intuition if your days are filled with constant noise. Too many people try to think their way out of burnout. They push harder, try to fix their mindset, force motivation. But sometimes what you need isn't more thinking, it's more rest. Not laziness, not escapism, but true intentional recovery. A walk in silence, a good night's sleep, a day without pressure. Time in nature without your phone. Or just 20 quiet minutes with no obligation to solve anything. Rest is not weakness, it's wisdom. Even the Stoics, for all their talk of discipline and self-mastery, understood this deeply. Because a tired mind is like a muddy river, you can't see the bottom until the water settles. So if your thoughts are dark right now, if everything feels like too much, if your motivation is gone and you don't recognize yourself, pause. Not to quit, but to breathe. Take care of your system, your body, your rest, your inner world. Because when you're nourished, you start to see things clearly again. You begin to realize you were never broken. You were simply running without fuel. And now, it's time to refill. Part 7. Gratitude kills negative thinking. This one might surprise you, but I've learned sometimes the most powerful weapon against a negative mind isn't more strength or more strategy. It's gratitude. Now, before you roll your eyes and think I've heard this before, let me tell you, gratitude is not just a feel-good practice. It's a psychological shield. It's stoic armor. Because when your mind is consumed by negativity, you develop tunnel vision. You start to see only what's missing, only what went wrong, only what could have been. And in that narrow space, your world shrinks, your hope fades, and everything starts to feel pointless. But gratitude, real grounded gratitude, does something miraculous. It cracks that tunnel open. It reminds you, hey, maybe things aren't perfect, but not everything is broken. Seneca wrote, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more who is poor." And that hits deep, because most of our negative thoughts aren't just about pain. They're about lack. I should be further. I don't have enough. Everyone else is doing better than me. But the moment you pause and ask, what am I forgetting to appreciate something inside you, shifts. Gratitude doesn't erase the storm, but it gives you anchors. You realize I still have breath in my lungs. I still have people who love me. I've survived worse than this. I'm still here, still growing, still trying. And that is enough to begin again. So try this. Each night before you go to sleep, write down 3 small things you're grateful for. Not big wins, not perfect moments, just small anchors. A warm meal, a laugh with a friend, a good song, a moment of silence. Because when you remember the light, the darkness loses its grip. Gratitude isn't a performance, it's a perspective. It says, yes, life is hard, but I still choose to see what's good. That, my friend, is true strength. Part 8. Busyness is not progress. Let me ask you something that might feel a little uncomfortable. When was the last time you were truly still? No notifications, no rushing, no multitasking. Just present, quiet, aware. Hard to remember, isn't it? Because in our modern world, busyness has become a badge of honor. We glorify the hustle. We romanticize the grind. We equate being busy with being important. And we confuse constant motion with actual growth. But the Stoics knew better. Marcus Aurelius, the most powerful man of his time, wrote in his journal, "Don't waste what's left of your life in guessing what others are doing in noise, in distraction, or in doing things that don't lead to inner progress." Let that sink in. He wasn't concerned with being productive for the sake of it. He was concerned with being centered. Because here's the truth, busyness can be a form of avoidance. Sometimes we stay busy so we don't have to face what's brewing underneath the grief we've buried. The decisions we're afraid to make, the truths we're not ready to confront. So we keep moving, keep chasing, keep filling the calendar so we never have to hear the sound of our own thoughts. But wisdom doesn't grow in noise, it grows in stillness. The Stoics taught that true strength comes not from doing more, but from knowing what not to do, from being intentional, from making space not just in your schedule, but in your mind. And maybe that's what you need right now. Not another task, not another achievement, but a pause, a deep breath, a quiet morning, an evening with no agenda, a walk with no destination. Because when you slow down, you start to see what actually matters, what's real, what's been calling for your attention, not out there, but in here. So the next time you catch yourself saying, "I'm just so busy," ask yourself, busy with what? And is it leading me closer to peace or further away? Don't let movement fool you. Don't let noise distract you from meaning. Stillness isn't weakness. It's where clarity begins. Part 9. Enough is a form of strength. Let's talk about something that's become almost radical in today's world. Being content. Truly content. See, we live in a culture that tells you more is always better. More money, more followers, more status, more things. And if you're not careful, you'll spend your whole life chasing more, but never actually feel enough. Seneca, one of the great Stoic minds, wrote it plainly. It is not the man who has too little who is poor, but the one who craves more. That is timeless truth. Because here's what I've seen again and again. It's not lack that makes us miserable. It's the endless comparison. It's the illusion that everyone else has it better. It's believing that happiness is always one step away. Just one more raise, one more achievement, one more person to notice you. But the moment you reach that one more, your mind moves the finish line. That's not freedom. That's a treadmill, and it will wear your soul down. The Stoics taught us that true wealth isn't in what you hold in your hand. It's in how light your heart feels when you stop needing more. Enough is a decision, not a number. It's saying right here, right now, I have what I need. I am who I need to be. That doesn't mean you stop growing. It means you stop grasping. You grow from stillness, not from scarcity. So let me ask you gently, what if nothing more is coming to save you? What if peace was never in the next thing, but in this moment? Would that change how you live today? Gratitude and contentment are sisters, and when you embrace them, your mind quiets, your anxiety fades, and clarity, real clarity, rises to the surface. That is power, not the kind that impresses people, but the kind that grounds you, centers you, frees you. So pause today. Look around, look within, and say with quiet strength, I have enough. I am enough. If you've made it this far, take a moment and breathe. Because just by showing up, by listening, reflecting, and opening your mind, you've already taken the most important step: awareness. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to master all 9 principles in one day. You just need to practice. Every day. Quietly. Consistently. That's the heart of Stoicism. It's not about suppressing your emotions or pretending to be unshakable. It's about learning to observe without being overwhelmed, to respond without being reactive, and to live with clarity in a chaotic world. You're not your thoughts. You're not your fear. You're not the noise. You are the calm in the middle of it all. And with practice, that calm becomes your power. So as you step back into the world today, I want you to remember one thing. My mind is my strongest weapon. Let that be your affirmation. Let it guide you. And if this video spoke to you, helped you, please take a moment to support this channel. Subscribe to Stoic Outlook so you never miss another deep dive. Like the video, it helps more people find this message. Leave a comment below. I'd love to hear your reflections. And share it with someone who might need this reminder. Together, let's keep building clarity, peace, and resilience, one Stoic truth at a time.